Your dreams crush you before you even start. Let's talk about it. Hello, so Will here at Thunderhawk Coaching. Today we're going to talk about how your dreams crush you before you even start. Okay, so this is a fun one. Basically, imagine you and you're like, I have an idea, I want to do something. Okay, I want to be a great athlete, I want to be a wonderful musician, I want to be a photographer, I want to be famous, whatever you can think of. Okay, so we have those ideas in our head and we're like, wow, that's amazing, that's so cool, I'm so excited about this idea of having feelings similar to what's happening in my head. But the problem with these dreams are, though, going from where you currently are all the way down here to where you want to be up here there's a lot of stuff in between, right? A lot of stuff in between, and our brains are wired to minimize discomfort unless we train them otherwise. So something I really notice is that people just give up, right? We've all given up on dreams. I've given up on dreams. You've probably given up on dreams. So why? What's happening here, Will? What's happening here? I hear you may ask. What's happening here is that we all have our own way of daydreaming, our way of building fantasies and stuff to help us kind of manage emotions, process emotions, feel through things, think through things. That's all perfectly normal and healthy. But one of the really big challenges can come when we have this big dream, this big ambition, this idea that we're going to be someone, right? And that being someone comes with a ton of weight, a ton of intensity, right? And if you're anything like me, that kind of builds over time, right? You have this idea of, say, being a musician. That was what it was like for me. And you do stuff sort of in that direction. You do stuff in that direction, and then it requires you to take a risk where you could fail. And you just struggle to make the leap. You don't do it. And you live with that guilt. You live with that shame, and it just buzzes around in your head. And it adds to every effort you make that doesn't go the way you hoped. And it just builds and builds and builds until you're like, you can't even stand the sight of it. You can't even, because the dream was very different to the reality, right? The dream, like, it goes easy, you kill it, everything works first time, everyone loves you, you're a billionaire, and you rule the world, or wherever your brain goes. But it doesn't happen like that in reality, right? Our dreams often, like, create this, like, absurd idea, which is, like, comforting to sit in and revel in for a moment. But it can create the hugest expectations for every small action, because, like, while we don't verbalize it really, when we, like, take an action towards our dreams, we really expect smooth sailing. And if we don't get smooth sailing, it hits something called our ego, our sense of self, right? This thing in our brain that's like, that is me, that is Will, right? If you go, I'm Will, I'm a musician, when I do things that don't meet my standards of a musician, I feel guilt, I feel shame, I feel disappointment, I feel regret, perhaps. We all kind of get that in our own ways. And I'm making this video today because I want to talk about, like, how reevaluating your relationship with your dreams is really important before you can even take a step in that direction. And, like, I've lived this. I had years where I couldn't make music and couldn't engage with music and felt disappointed in myself, shame in myself, really struggled with creativity in general, because I was like, man, I suck and I should be doing more, but I'm not doing more, and I feel shame for that. And then this cycle persists, right? So, like, what do you like do about that? You kill your dreams, murder them, kill them in cold blood, okay? Your expectations right here are not helping you, right? And if we go further behind that? What even pointed you in the direction of this in the first place? What need is this dream attempting to solve? So for me, I loved music because it gave me a way to process and cope with all the trauma I went through when I was a kid. That's why I attached to it so much. That's why it was my everything. That's why I was like, oh, I love music and I have to do this and it's amazing and it's great. I got to do this. But when I tried to turn that into a job, into an income, then it took a different role in my life. I didn't commit to it that hard, if I'm very honest with myself. But I had a dream of doing that. And I didn't do more of it because I think it floated away from what it was actually originally doing for me. Okay, so like dreams can change and morph. But really, they kind of strike at a fundamental need, right? I think people want to be famous because they want affection. They want people to celebrate them and be like, hell yeah, you're cool. I love your stuff, right? They like that idea. Being rich means we don't have to budget. We don't have to... You can be free of the responsibility of moderation. That's how I often word it. I wanted to be a musician because I wanted to kind of share strong feelings I had in a musical form and play them and share them with people and have like a connective experience. I think that's kind of what I wanted, because whenever I jammed with people, I really felt like there was this unspoken connection there that was like really awesome. I loved that. I loved like making stuff with people, because I guess to me it felt kind of like intimate in a way. It's like a closeness, like a shared experience that built relationships. And now I've zoomed out from that a little bit. I see kind of that's what that dream was about, right? So what was that dream about? I'm going to ask you, what was that dream about? What did you even like doing photography? Why did you even like trying to be a skateboarder? Why did you pick up the cello? Why did you get into finance? Why did you get jacked? Why did you do that? What are you trying to fill there, my friend? That's what I'd ask you to ask yourself, because if the dream's not in line with that, because like you need to actually make a dream happen, you need to like suffer a bit, right? You need to like struggle. We don't think about that in the dream, right? But we do have to suffer and struggle to get there. And it needs to be a degree of like duty that I think we need to feel towards the dream, and accept we're going to get hit down as many times as it takes to like really get close to executing on a dream. And like also, there's a lot of luck involved in executing dreams. I think a lot of people don't talk about that enough. There's luck involved. There's things fall into the right place at the right time. And it's just about staying in the game and rolling the dice as many times as you can for something to land. Now, the hard part there is kind of knowing why you're doing it for you, right? This is why I say murder the dreams, because you need to like do something that feels good for you right now in the thing you're doing. Creative, non-creative, your business, whatever it is, you need to do it for you, and you need to be like, I care about this and I'm doing this for me, regardless of who shows up and who doesn't show up. Because if you don't and you expect returns really quick, whether that's views, clout, money, etc., you're gonna drop out, dude. You're gonna give up, and it's gonna suck, and you're gonna feel like a failure again, right? And it can feel really hopeless being stuck in that cycle. It can feel really hopeless trying and failing and feeling like you failed for nothing. Okay? So you gotta have a little hopium here, a little copium, they call it, little in a way, right? We all cope in lots of ways, but like we've gotta have our own kind of hope for a future that we want to be. What kind of person do you want to be? What does that person do? I want to be a person that feels strong to myself. I feel able. I feel agile. I'm articulate and I can express myself well. So that's why I keep talking. That's why I keep lifting weights. That's why I keep reading things. Because I want to feel like I got my point across. And when I listen back to that, I'm like, damn, yeah, I got my point across. I feel that. That's why I make music. So like, what are you trying to do, man? Like, really at the core of it, what are you trying to do? Ask yourself that. But that's where I'm going to leave it today. You've been wonderful. I've been Thunderhawk coaching Will Thunderhawk. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. If you got this far in the video, you're pretty cool. Like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. All that fun stuff. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.